Okay, so we're going to talk about how to beat this big boy here, S tier Kahn. So he has gaps everywhere, right? But it's not just gaps where you can flawless block. That might be hard for some people. It's gaps where you can actually punch through them. So, for example, when you see this, right, he might do this. Or what he might do is this. And because he might do this, like this is plus, you have to be careful. It's only +2 and it's enough spacing. You can just like backdash or whatever, even just poke or something. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. It's not a good move, but usually they do this. Okay, but if they do this, you can punish them. Come on, buddy, come on. There's a gap. What's the gap? I don't care about the frames. I don't care this time. I don't have time. She has a 7-frame starter. You can punish this. Try it out with your character. But if you guess wrong and he does this, all right, like unless he's crazy, he's not gonna shoulder like this on block, right? He has to do it on hit. What he might do though is this. But if you guess wrong, he hits you. Okay, so what? It doesn't really matter. The only thing you don't want him to do is this. But here we're counting that he's not gonna do it. We're counting that he's not, like the people that I'm making these guys for, like it's assuming that you're at a level where people are not doing insane shit like this. Okay, so that's one. I know I'm gonna forget some and the Shao main is gonna be super angry at me. This is a short one, guys. It's for intermediate players. Don't come at me, Shao mains. Okay, there's a 7-frame gap here, so I think down 1 would punish this if you had a 6-frame. Is this a 7-frame gap? 21 minus 28. So you need a 6-framer to punish this, but we'll try it with a 7-frame just for fun. Now, if you had like sub, you could poke out of this. But if you have someone that doesn't have a poke that's 7 frames, you can't poke out of this. But of course, you know, there is a flawless block gap. And his gaps are really like easy to punish. But you know, that's the thing though. Most of these guys are just gonna do this. They stop here because why would you complete the string? This is -3, it's safe. And if you poke, like if you have someone who has like a 9-frame mid, you can blow this up and you should press right here. Right here you should press, because if they hit you with this, 70 damage, it doesn't matter. Compared to a full combo punish, if you could, Sonya can't, then you hit them, right? You would beat them by like 1 frame. But Sonya would have to interrupt with, take the risk to get hit and interrupt with down 3, or just take the pressure of the stagger and wait until he does something else and take back his turn. So Sonya doesn't really have good options to really punish this unless you have a 9-frame mid. She could do, you know, crush, low crush by doing 4-3. As soon as he staggers, that could work. But essentially, if you don't have to respect this, don't have to respect the stagger, the follow-up, don't do it, because it's just not enough damage. Again, like the way that I try to play this game, just don't respect any stagger. So here we have this one, the completion of the string. There's another flawless block gap, which is kind of easy to flawless block. Come on, buddy. And as I say this, I can't got the flawless block it. Or there's this, right? Again, he can poke you. Sonya would struggle against this. Should have to do something else. If you have 9-frame mid, interrupt it right there. Or if you can like backdash out of it or something. Depends on your character. Don't respect the follow-up, because this is only... you might have to respect this. This is 140, but Shao Kahns are unlikely to complete this string. And because they're unlikely to complete this string, you can disrespect a little bit more. Okay, there seems to be another gap here. Shaos don't really do this, but there's a gap here. Again, a punchable gap. If you see this, just press. Okay, is there a gap here? Don't think there is. No, there's no gap here. I think it's unsafe, right? No, I don't think it is. It's not unsafe, but Shao Kahns don't use this. What they might do, though, is like this, which is just... you have to take this pressure. That's his best tool, right? Standing 1 into grab, or standing 1 into something else. But you can OS tech this, because he doesn't have an auto shimmy anyways. So like he's at random right now. It doesn't matter, I'm just waiting for the other hit. And of course if he delays it, that's the counter, so you have to look carefully and press right after he touches you. Come on. Oh shit, it's not on random. So now all I'm doing is I am pressing right after he touches me, and I let go of block right after. It covers all options because he doesn't have an auto shimmy. So you could do that, but honestly the standing 1 stagger, there's not a lot of good options against it. It's a very strong tool because it's +4. Okay, so what he'll do, like good players are gonna do this. So they do this, You try to come in. Down 4, look at the space. And when you try to come in, they smack you, right? And there's not much Sonya can do here. What you would have to do is... Whoops. Even like back 3. Like there's nothing she can do here. You just have to walk out of the pressure. Unless you whiff punish him by backdashing first. And again, like there's even risks here. But if you step back, and people, Shaos that are really good are not even going to do that. They're just going to proximity OS, right? Like this. So they get you like that. Bam. So they don't overreach, overextend, and now they're safe. So you just have to be careful when they do down 4, just don't come in. It's a trap. So this thing here, so you can just poke them out of this. Or you can down to it. I would say probably not on reaction, because it's just, by the time you react, you're gonna get hit. It has to be a read. Like, as soon as you see 1, 2, you're like, oh, I'm gonna press, right? He's gonna do it. Or you can simply forward dash. Like this, forward dash. You don't want to backdash, I don't think it's gonna hit you, yeah. Okay, so what if they amp it? 1, 2, amp. So the amp, you can fuzzy match this. Right? So you don't have to respect ever. Press, and nothing happened. Press, nothing happened. But if they don't do it, if they simply do this and they try to do something else, they're gonna get hit. Now it's Sonya. She's gonna get poked. But you could simply do it with Sonya. You would have to do it with a poke, right? So 1, 2, 3, and I poke. So if I put it on hidden playback, auto, and I poke, nothing happened. And I poke. Now I got him. It's +1 if he amps it, which is just like insignificant. Like, I mean, if you don't interrupt it, you can just backdash out of it. But even if you're unable to do the technique that I showed you, you can simply like push the button, like just try to interrupt it. If he gets you 70 damage, it's just not that much, right? Because a lot of them are not going to want to amp it, because if they amp it, and they actually hit you, right? It's not a hit confirm. They don't know if they're going to hit you or not. So, for example, if they do... and they get you, that's what they want, because then they can launch you after that. But if they amp... Imagine you're blocking, and then they amp, like, oh, I just wasted like 300 potential damage, or 400 for this guy. So they're less likely to amp. And if you mess up, you're going to have to either just poke them, or you're going to have to... jump on them. This could be good. Sonya could grab this, actually. Isn't that funny? Does it even have to be on reversal? Not even. She could even anti-air it. Like, Sonya's really could do good things against this thing. Okay. Yeah, so you'd have to do something else. Use a mid if you can. You're not gonna be... You shouldn't really use a high against this, because usually it'll poke after this. Again, you can just backdash and whiff punish it if you don't have a good mid, depending on what you have, right? There are options for you. Let's go full screen. So full screen, it depends how far away they are, but you can just, if they're really full screen, you can just be like, no. Just have to be a bit careful, because they might clip you by the time you react, right? You might have to just keep walking back. More realistically, they'll be here and try to jump on you from full screen. Actually, let's make it go full screen like that. They'll be here, and by the time they touch the floor, like, they're vulnerable a little bit. This is kind of hard online. This is not hard offline, but online this is kind of difficult. You can down to them or do something else, right? Just stay standing 1 and do something else. Sonya would be getting this easily. It's funny. Or even like jumping, it might be dangerous, because if you jump late, you're gonna get caught. But if you make the raid, you could definitely just jump it, right? Or even if you jump late, no, that's too dangerous. I would say just use standing 1. That's the easiest options against this. Okay, so we have that. Let's look at, there's a lot with this guy. Obviously there's a gap here. You should always try to use the gap in your advantage. But if you can't, like, you can't do anything out of this. Like, this is real pressure. You're gonna have to try to handle either strikes or throws right after this. If you can't flawless block it, which you should always, because you see, I'm attempting to flawless block, I'm messing up, and I'm not getting opened up because I'm still in block stun. So always try to flawless block this. If you mess up, there you go. Because he might do this, or he might do this. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to press, and if he kicks me, press, nothing happened. He doesn't have a real auto shimmy. The only mix is the difference in the throw, essentially. Okay, so let's look at this. Again, this is real pressure. You can't escape this. If he gets this, if he's close and he ends up getting you, this is real pressure. So the same concept applies. He's gonna do this. If he does a hop kick, you're kind of screwed. This is online, it's not reactable. But if he does something else, like tries to grab you or tries to hit you, you can still tech it on OS. Okay, if he tries to do this to you, but he's far, sometimes our bolt are gonna do this, right? Actually, no, let's record something more realistic. So they're gonna do this. Like, the only real option here, if he's frame perfect, is you need like sub to down. You can down one him, I think, if you have sub. I'm trying to down one him. I can't, but you're playing against a real player, not a computer. They have to react that it actually touched, and that little time gives you enough time to be out of hit stun, enough time to get a poke out. You can't mash. Like, if I'm mashing here, I don't know why, but it's not working. You have to time it, essentially. You can usually even punish this with a full combo if you have a 7 frame mid or high. But you should try to disrespect this, because it's more likely that you're going to be able to do it than not. And if you get caught, it's 90 damage. You escape some pressure, like you're kicked out of the way, right? Okay, so finally we have this one. So we have this, and that's the mix. So now you have to be extremely careful with this. So, of course, there's a flawless block gap. There's just so many options, right? Like, because there's a flawless block gap here, this stagger becomes very real, even though it's -8 and it looks like it's reactable. But because of the stagger, the pattern is too similar. So you're gonna have to be really patient, and in my opinion, you're just gonna have to try to flawless block. And if he doesn't do that, okay, right? If he doesn't go through, you make the read. You're gonna be like, okay, he's a safe player. Good players do this, right? They're not going to complete the string when you can flawless block them. That's when you can try to just go for it, rip it out. It's dangerous as hell, though. You have to be careful. And same thing goes if they try to do 4-3 and to just hop kick, right? Because if you try to interrupt and they do this, which they might do because it's a definitely legit technique, like this thing here, right there, it's legit because you might want to duck this attack. So this moves become kind of oppressive. If you just try to interrupt this and you're like, I'm going to interrupt it, and you're like, no, you get launched. If you try, I'm going to interrupt it, no, you get grabbed. So I think the best bet is to just try to flawless block and stay patient. Unless you make like hard reads. And again, if you can break away, maybe you can take a risk. It's dangerous, he has armor breakers. If he has no bar, then definitely take the risk. Like, he's not going to do a whole lot of damage if he can't launch you. I think that might be it for Shao. I know some people are angry right now. I'm not covering everything. I think that should be it. Okay, peace.
I'm going sub! You're getting mixed!